Hi, I'm Mesha with As Long as You're Breathing, and this is, of course, Twin Flame Tuesdays with Gabrielle. And hi, Gabrielle, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am great, and I so appreciate that you let me do this with you because I just love hanging with you, girl.
Good girl. We
But
always have fun together.
we do too much, yes. But today, of course, we take questions from your group, Twin Flames in the Afterlife,
Mhm.
and you respond to those. And so today we have just kind of topics, is what we have today that are overall that are going on in the group right now that people are just in general wanting information about. And the first one is, of course, communication with your twin once they have transitioned, like what to expect, how to do it, the whole 9 yards. It's like they all want to know. Well, there's even some, it's like, what is that going to be like if I do that? So, and I could see the trepidation, having being a medium myself. It's sometimes I'm still a little, I feel the energy, and I'm like, okay, this is a little hard for me to accept, although I know it is quite true. So I can imagine for these people that why they have the question. So, what do you have to say on that topic for us?
Well, after your twin passes away, of course you're gonna be in shock. It's a soul shock. So, this part of the journey, you all decided to make this agreement in this part of the journey. So when your soul is going through this shock, you're still connected with your twin, but sometimes it gets cluttered because of the pain. The pain is there. And so your twin, like a lot of people say, well, yeah, I'm picking up on the signs that my twin is sending me. Some people say, well, I'm not receiving any signs, but I want to ask you, where are you as far as pain wise?
Your
Because
grief,
sometimes we
your
can,
grief.
yeah, your grief, yes, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes we can get wrapped up so much in grief that we're not noticing the subtle signs, the subtle, um, messages that they send us. And if you know anything about working with spirit, spirit talks subtly. It's not going to be like me and you on camera right here talking. It's going to be subtle signs around you that you have to be aware of what's going on. So I will give you an example. After my twin passed away, I've always had an open mind to things in general. So
Mhm.
with me picking up on certain things, I wasn't afraid. I just knew it was him. I was intuitively knowing it was him. So it's after he passed away, before he passed away, it was this movie I wanted to see at Redbox, and it was just a little indie film, and so I could never get it. It was every Redbox was sold out. So after he passed away, I went to Redbox. The movie was there. Got it. Thought no correlation at the beginning. Watched the movie all the way through. Still no correlation. At the end of the movie, it had a song that played after the instrumental part. Now I never watch a show to the instrumental past the instrumental part, and this beautiful song came on. I started crying because I knew he was talking to me through the lyrics. So when you say how does that look when they're communicating, spirit talks in subtle ways. It can be through music. It can be through a random song that seems like it pops out of your head out of nowhere. That's your twin or spirit talking to
Right.
you. It can be from animals. When I first went to his grave, it was but a strange butterfly. Me and my friend went to his grave together. They just came and was just over there, just vibrating with me. I knew that was his energy. So it could be something as subtle as that, or it could be something as like my twin. He wanted me to know that he was there. So I had some instances where, it was like a lot of crazy stuff going on, but not in a scary way. You know what I mean? But of course, you get the things of maybe flashing lights and stuff like this. So it's a lot of different things, a lot of different. It's energy. Everything is energy. So
Everything's energy.
everything's energy. Yeah. So exactly. So what they're doing is when they cross over, they're on a different wavelength than what we are vibrating at now. So if you're in a state of so much grief that they can't get to you, then it's going to be hard for you to even notice that they're talking to you. So how to communicate with them, the best thing I can say is start to looking at the grief. Start to communicate and going through. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to
Absolutely.
it's,
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
okay. It's okay. And you have to do that. You can't hold on to that pain of losing them. Because when my twin passed away, I thought I was never going to date again. I said, no, I'm not dating. I don't want anybody else. It's over with for me. But with him, when I noticed the signs, he kind of led me onto the journey of discovering what we were. Because before he passed away, I didn't know we were twins. I never heard of the terminology before.
I understand that. Yes.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, the terminology was new to me when I first heard it. I'm like, what? What is this? Two souls, separated? What? But yes, the more and more I talk with people and channel about it, the more and more sure I am that is absolutely a real thing. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Definitely, much so. I mean, it rings true throughout our existence if you see it. In
yes,
every culture, in every religion, you have that divine feminine, divine masculine. You have that yin and yang.
they got divided. Yeah, they got
Yeah,
divided. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, in one way or another. A friend was talking to me yesterday, and Plato talked about it. They were called split aparts back
Hmm.
then.
Hmm.
That were the split aparts, and
Good parts, yeah,
well, that's okay.
yeah,
But it makes sense.
yeah,
So yeah, it does go back that
yeah,
far.
yeah.
Well, having worked in long term care, grief, especially around death, is something that I'm really familiar with. And then, of course, it was all through the eyes of like Western medicine and psychology. And of course, that's what I was taught, in school.
Hmm.
But we now know because of what we do with energy that moving through grief does not. And I'm certainly not telling anyone not to move through grief. We absolutely have to move through it. We have to feel our feels. And that is one of the things that especially in our world of positivity and all of that, that a few years back, it was like, just ignore that you have pain and it'll go away. Well, no, that's the worst way to do it is you have to, ignoring anything, it doesn't go away. You have to accept and acknowledge and go through it. But because we are all energy and because we are understanding now that where we place our energy and choosing to pull our energy from it is how we heal or move on or progress is what I prefer. So the grief and grieving process, it's important that they give themselves time for that, but at the same time, don't get stuck in it because stuck energy is the issue. That is what we. So it's in the meditations we do, like where we call ourselves back to ourselves. That sounds really like, what are they doing?
Hmm.
Especially all time, space, dimensions,
Yeah,
universes, and all we're doing really is okay. My energy is stuck in this situation. Okay, I'm acknowledging that. I'm feeling my feels. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm calling my energy back to me into the present time. And I think if we just know to do those things, that the difference it makes. And that doesn't mean, I mean, that's why we do it every time we meditate, is because it'll go back,
yeah,
especially when you're still grieving. But
yeah,
the more we do that, the more we call ourselves to the present, I think the better we can heal
yeah.
or progress.
Yes,
And
yes.
as we progress, then the communication with them, I think, would get easier.
It does. It gets much easier. The healing process is what takes it because if I would have stayed in my low vibrational state that I was in, it would have been hard for me to do the work. I couldn't do the work I'm doing now.
No, right,
I couldn't.
right.
You know.
I think some of the things you mentioned that were really interesting were you talked about the fact that you made this agreement with one another, or you have this contract with one another. I know you have new people to your community, so maybe they don't know about that aspect of it. Maybe that'll help to explain that some.
Okay, so every twin flame journey is different, and I want to get back. I want to get back to one topic before we go to that because
Sure.
some people it's different theories in the community where some people feel like no, everyone doesn't have a twin, or and stuff like that. So I just want to lay some information there about that.
Sure.
In from what I've channeled, information that I've gathered, we all have twins. Now, whether or not we reincarnate in the same lifetime does not always happen. Now, that's the thing. But I want to just get some. When people get the big head, the ego can run in any area, spiritually or non-spiritual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
That's called
when
being
people
human.
try, yeah,
That's what we're all trying to overcome is that part.
yeah, that part. Because sometimes people, when they hear that, it makes you seem like an exclusive group, and then it seems like you shun out other people in their relationship when that is not the dynamic of what twin flames mean in general. You know, so I want to give that clarification that we all do, but we might not reincarnate the same lifetime, and we might reincarnate the same lifetime. But with that being said, you still have your twin counterpart throughout. This is just one reality. Just as we are multiple dimensional beings, so let's not get caught up in the the reality of what we see here. I see that so much, and I'm just like, before we even get into that, let's go over now, how do you feel about that though?
Contracting is what it was. So we'll get
Yeah.
back to it. I'll write it down so we don't forget.
Yeah.
How do I feel about that? What's been channeled to me, of course, is as you're saying, you may be incarnate together, you may not be incarnate together. I know some always incarnate together, and some rarely do. But I do know that the point in time we are at right now, that the mission of Twin Flame being to raise the vibration of the planet and to form this new dimension of consciousness, which of course is understanding the 1 + 1 = 3 model, where we have we start understanding that the relationship is its own dimension of consciousness. So I do know that there are more twin flames probably incarnate right now than ever before, in part because they're so high vibrational, and that raises the vibration of the planet. And then this coming together and forming this, this is literally exponential, is what's been channeled to me, is because whereas before, the 1 and 1 made 1, which it still does because we're oneness. So if each one's were high vibrational and they came together, that still raises the vibration of the planet. But by adding this whole new dimension of consciousness, which is understanding that no, that's not the way at all, and that we are coming here to integrate, of course. That is integration, but in that integration, we don't lose ourselves, but we actually gain another level of consciousness that is exponentially raising the vibration of the planet. So I believe there are more twins here than ever. That's why we're hearing about it. And I do think that a specialness kind of got assigned to it at first because it was such an exclusive group. You didn't hear about it, and now it's like everywhere you're hearing people talk about it. So I think there is specialty to it, but at the same time, if you're here and you're not in a twin flame relationship, that doesn't make your relationship any lesser, because practicing this model, the twins are here to emulate this model and show the world. We can exponentially facilitate making the world a better place by ourselves doing this model. But it's so everybody learns to do it in every relationship. So you're not with your twin. Okay,
Yeah.
you don't know if you have a twin.
Yeah.
That's okay. Just you practice the model anyway, because that's what we're here for, is for all of us to learn this model and raise the vibration of the planet in our own. So we had the experience we actually came here to have, which is a beautiful experience, not the denser ones, which are not always so beautiful.
We know that.
So that's my take on it, is that and that's why I believe that we are meant to get together in this lifetime, twins, because there is such significance to it. And somebody asked me yesterday, the same person that brought up Plato asked me if I felt that once twins got together, would they stay together? And I said, I can't answer that for the past, because I haven't been channeled to about what twin flame was in the past. But now the whole point of it is to show that these two people have had multiple lifetimes where they're very different now, even though they were one, they've had different experiences. And so they're each bringing these and they incarnate as like different cultures, different races, different ages, and so the whole point is to show that differences do not stop us from having an amazing other whole dimension of relationship, that as a matter of fact, that is the whole point, is to transcend those differences even. So if that's what we're here to do, and that's what we're here to teach, and we're here to accomplish, it only makes sense to me that the model should continue to work, that you should be able to maintain the relationship. And so I think for the most part, they are even meant to stay together, because that's like oneness. We're trying to show that we're all part of the whole, and our uniqueness is valued. So it's always the micro is the macro. And so the universe wants to maintain its integrity. It doesn't want to say, okay, we're all one, but we're going to break up. It's about maintaining integrity of the universe, and having order instead of chaos. So I believe that twin flames, yes, it is about understanding the model of relationship, because it is the micro to the macro. But we don't have to be twin flame to do that. I think we can all do that But there again, our contract could be not to. So, and that leads us right into contracts.
I knew it was leading right there.
Yeah, that was channeled to me. I couldn't do that on my own, girl.
Let the mic open.
There you go. Contracts.
But contracts. So we do have we have different contracts. Like some twin flames are meant to be here and they've signed contracts where they will be together. Some might not be together. You know, like in our situations, our twin decided to leave before us. So we stay behind. So
right.
With that being said, we have to transcend the death part of the equation.
Right. Right.
We are the ones that signed the contract on that end of the stage to be able to. It's a process, it's a journey for you to see how the journey is from finish to end. So we decided to do the end of the end of it. How does it look to live in this reality when your divine counterpart is gone? Now, okay, so how do we transcend the pain? How do we transcend the pain of losing our significant other? So we can't get stuck in that stuck vibration. We talk about everything being energy. If we get stuck in the pain of losing them, then we're not doing our part of what we came here to do as a twin flame.
Mm-hmm. I think there's significance to that too. Is I was talking about how the point was to show that we are individuals and yet are one, and the stability of oneness. So I think that the twin flames, who unfortunately one has transitioned, I think that is to show that, okay, even though they're in another dimension now, a dimension you can't see, but you can still sense them. So I think that's an extension of everything is one. I think it's an extension of that. And so you don't get to experience your twin in the same way as someone who is here and getting to show, okay, the model works. We can be in union here, no matter how different or whatever. This is how relationship works. I think what you all are being challenged to do, the challenge you accepted in coming here and incarnating now and going through this, is to show, and the model for oneness works even when one is in a different dimension. And so and to me, I'm so glad I didn't sign up for that one, girl. Because that one would be so hard, I think, because because most likely, I believe, again, it's dependent on your contract, I would think that the twin that has transitioned would be, and this kind of goes into our other topic, I don't know if you're ready to yet or not, but I would think that the twin that has transitioned would want you to have a full life here. And so it's learning to accept or understand even that, okay, when they were here, it was this way. Mm-hmm. Now they're not here, but I'm not dishonoring them by going on with my life. As a matter of fact, you perhaps honoring them by showing that you understand that the difference of the dimensions and the difference of the purpose of incarnation, etc. But I don't know that my mind can stretch to that. So how do we stretch to that? How do we stretch to, okay, if they were here, definitely staying in union would be the goal, but they're not here. I'm supposed to go on. Yeah. How do I do that? What? Say what?
And that's where it comes back to the healing process. That's where it comes back to getting to those energies. That's where it comes back to being able to, because when you get through those energies, you're working through those energies, you're getting more situations where you're communicating with them. Like the community that we have of twin flames in the afterlife, you can hear plenty of twins have passed over that talk to their twins. A lot of them are mediums too,
Right.
And so, so these gifts and abilities are coming on board because they're opening their vibration up. They're opening that you are signing up. You're doing the work that you came here to do. So we still have work to do, even though our twin passed away. That's where my company name is 2 Souls in One, because we're legitimately working with 2 souls in one. My twin, yes, is crossed over, but we're integrated. We're always one, but we integratedly work together through everything that I do.
Right.
So that's the base of it. We can still work together. The model still works when our twin is here, and even when our twin is not physically here in this dimension, the model still works.
Yeah. to again further the understanding, that oneness exists. Even across dimensions. It exists, because that is just, we are such a society of individualism, and of course oneness respects individualism more than anything, because the individual is that's how consciousness gets expanded to begin with, is because we're plugged in as the individual we're supposed to be, and that's what makes it all stable and not chaotic energy.
Yeah.
So right, so yeah, I think it's to show that even transcending across dimensions, oneness is still oneness. And so I think that's part of what they're trying to teach there, and those who signed up for it. So basically what we're saying is that when we incarnate, it's all reverse engineered. That way that's how that's when you want to know when you want to have the experience you want to have, then you have to know what that experience is to begin with. And then you go and you do the experience. To get the experience right, you have to know what it is you want to do to begin with. And so we reverse engineer all of this. And it's also how we can keep everything in vibrational frequency and decrease the chaos, the chaotic energies, which is what we're all learning to do. We didn't know how to do that because we didn't know we were energetic beings. We didn't know all of this. But now that this is coming to light and we're becoming energetically awake, so we Akasha actually is this has been channeled to me too. Akasha is actually where we can go and see all these multiple, okay, yeah, I'll take that timeline, I'll do that, I'll do this. So it's about getting the timeline that we're going to come here and do. So we did contract and say, I'll be at that stoplight on that day at that time, because that's the synchronicities, the serendipities. That's the thing that, because that person is supposed to talk to me about this topic and I'm going to help them move on. And so we really did do that. So everything we do here, we picked out and came with an outcome in mind. And so the contracts are what they are. And you can go to Akasha with a record reader and ask, do I have a contract with this person? And so I think that's another way that those who have lost their twin, that's transitioned, and they want to know, am I really supposed to be with somebody else, is go to Akasha and ask, what is my contract? Do I have a contract with another person? Now, they may not give you the name. Most likely they're not. Best in high is good because that's going to ruin the surprise and everything. But if you have someone in mind, they will answer if, yes, that is the contract or not. They will answer that. But so I think people knowing about Akasha and using Akasha is an amazing opportunity.
But that really open to you. So I want you to explain more about Akasha. So you got it.
Well, okay. All right. Yes. Well, yeah. So, well, there's two aspects to Akasha. There is the record of everything, which is open to everyone, and that is consciousness in and of itself. We access consciousness through our chakras, and we get information. That is the totality of the information that exists. And so that is like you're sitting around and you suddenly just know something. You're like, how do I know that? You've tapped into Akasha, and so that's beautiful and wonderful, and we all do that very naturally. But then we each have an individual record, which nobody else can get into your record. That's your record and yours alone, unless you have a reader that you say, yes, I'm giving you access to my record, because I don't understand how to, or I'm not yet developed the gift to, or even I use readers myself, because you don't want emotion to get in the way, and sometimes it will. So yes, I go on my own, but I also, if it's something I really want to be sure about, I ask another reader to and give them permission to go to my record. But yes, we access that dimension, which is our record of everything about us, and there we can find out about our past lives. We can find out about our contracts, those type things. And they don't tell us it's always best in highest good. So one, you're only going to be told things that at your level of consciousness you can deal with. That's first and foremost. They're not going to exceed what you're ready to deal with. But secondly, there's this misnotion out there that we can go to Akasha and we can change things. I can change that contract. I can undo, and no, that would implode the space-time continuum. We can't do that. And so people who are saying that, they don't understand. But what you're actually doing is you're transmuting energies. And just like we're doing here, it's just in Akasha, it's just another place. It's another dimension where the record is there. And so just like you and I can access people who have transitioned, and we they contact us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Akasha is just another dimension where you can go and access information about yourself. So if you don't channel it freely, if you're not clairaudient, all those things, Akasha is a place you can go and you can ask about your record. But it's not a place where you change things. It's not a magical place where you go and you get the roadmap for everything, but they will certainly answer questions to help guide you. And but it's also a place just for healing. The energy in Akasha is so pure. And we all have pyramids in Akasha for healing. And
Mm-hmm.
I sleep in mine every night actually, but I'm told to. I'm like, okay, you don't stay well unless, are you in the pyramid or not? You didn't sleep in the pyramid last night. And I'm like, I didn't, But the pyramidal structure, the sacred geometry of it is the energies that are in it are healing. And so is there like a pyramid in my bedroom? No, but it plays energetically. It's the intent, because we're energy. So everything is about the intent that we set. So you can literally go for healing from all of this. Even you could go to your pyramid, your healing pyramid in Akasha, and use the energy from that, and also to amplify your being able to get in touch with the twin. All of those things. But yes, if you could go and ask, am I contracted with more relationships, or am I contracted to not be in relationship again?
Mm-hmm.
And know what you engineered for yourself here. And so I would think that me being a relationship person, I would think most people did contract to go on and have other relationships, but not necessarily so. And that is one of the things I've taken great comfort in going to Akasha and asking, okay, what is my contracts? Do I have just this one contract? Do I have more contracts? And knowing the answer to that it helps me know, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm not on the right path. And so when other people are like telling me what I should be doing with my life, I'm like, I know my contracts, and that gives you great comfort. That gives you great comfort to know, no, I've been to Akasha. I know what my contracts are. And no, I know this, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so that's a great comfort.
And it gives you sovereignty over yourself too.
Yes, absolutely. Sovereignty over self. It does. You talked about lights and the subtle ways that spirit communicates with people. Of course, the more and more connected we're becoming, the more and more we're coming into our gifts. That's becoming, if you're clairaudient, if you're all those things, that makes it so much easier, because then you can have conversations with them, So coming into your gifts is another thing that I think being a twin facilitates you doing, because it facilitates usually spiritual awakening, correct?
Yeah, it does. It does. And spiritual awakening itself can be scary at first.
Oh, and chaotic. It is chaotic.
Yes, very much so. Very much so chaotic. People think it's all no.
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 I wish it were that. I wish so. Oh my God, it's chaotic energy at first, because you don't know what you're navigating. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because and then also too, your world is being shattered. So you really are losing. You're going through a death. You're going through a death and rebirth.
Yes.
That's what awakening is. It's that death and rebirth, that Christ consciousness, that energy of awakening. You were sleeping a slumber for so long, and all of a sudden it's like, knock knock, wake up. And so when you're starting to wake up, your reality around you starts to get shattered. So the things you used to believe, used to just carry on about, you see those concepts, you start to see that it's lies. It's little lies in those concepts. And you start to peel away those illusions. So when you peel away those illusions, it can be scary.
It's very scary, because everything you thought you knew to be true, you're like, that's not how it is at all. It's not how it is at all. And that's like, what? And there's no going back. Once you know, and once you've experienced it, there's no going back. So, and you find yourself sometimes like, I just want to not know anymore. And that's rare for me, because I always want to know. But I run into people who are like, I don't want to know this anymore. I just want to go back to when I didn't know. I want to go back to when, and that's a little hard for me, because I'm one of those that I always want to know. But I've had those moments occasionally when it's been like, it kind of was simpler when I just wanted to know and didn't know. But I don't stay there, but maybe a second, and then I'm out of it. But I understand that there's that whole, I don't want to know this.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it's so much that can happen. So with my spiritual awakening, when I first started communicating with my twin and realized I could communicate with him, then I got to let on that I knew I could communicate with angels and and other spirits and stuff like that.
Right.
So I had a scare along my journey, and that's why I teach the work that I do, so I can help my clients transition, so they won't have the same scares and
Me too, girl.
girl,
Yes.
we've had some attacks and everything,
Oh my gosh, have we not,
Yeah,
girl? I mean, oh yes. And so, and we don't want to scare anyone here, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you need to know how to
yeah.
manage your energy because those things can happen. And that's
And
why you need to understand all this and work with someone like you to know how to do
yeah.
that.
And anyone knows me, you all can come to my inbox and just ask me questions. I am here to help. Like I have clients that have been to me and come back and they all have questions. So I love educating people because the more knowledge you have, the more you're able to take your power back over your life. Knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge too. You can know stuff, but you have to apply it within thyself.
Absolutely. And that gets rid of the whole magical thinking part of it is because so many people think what we're talking about is woo woo stuff. And it's like, okay, this isn't real, et cetera, et cetera. It's only not real if you don't apply it. And even then it's real.
Yeah,
You're letting your timeline move along and you're not applying what you know in your timeline. And therefore you're not in vibrational alignment with yourself. And unfortunately that's what we do. And I think probably people who are grieving do this as well. And I'm not being critical, but we all tend to distract ourselves instead of going within and facing these things, especially. And I think lots of times people with spiritual awakening, it's like, nope, nope, not ready for
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Blinders on. I want to, and people run from spiritual
yeah,
awakening.
yeah.
And that's the faster you go ahead and surrender to it, the faster you actually get on with living the life you came here to live. And it's not all going to be, I'm not a wealthy person by any means. I'm actually living much differently than I have in
Mm-hmm.
other points in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a happier, more fulfilling existence because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I know that I am in the vibrational frequency I'm supposed to be. I know all of those things. So, okay, I'm not traveling the world still. I'm not going on Baltic cruises. I'm not going to the Bahamas every 3 months. I'm not doing those things anymore. But I'm also sovereign over self, and I'm doing what lights me up, and I'm doing it without any criticism, without any, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so just because you become spiritually awake, because there's so much about manifesting and all of that out there. Yes, we manifest, but that doesn't mean that we're all,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we manifest what it is that's going to light us up and make us
Mhm.
happy, what we came here to be, do, feel, experience. And so that's the thing that I think as we're grieving to remember is that once you get into that frequency, you are going to be happy again because we did come here to be happy. And even if butterfly effect is causing other things that are supposed to be in your life not to be there, um, spirit will find a way to
Yeah.
accommodate, and that's what the control tower up there is for. They're looking down and they're like, okay, that didn't happen, and that one's stuck, and so let's do this. So to make their experience at least as close to what it was supposed to be as we can. So yeah, and I know that sounds like a chess game or something, but that's not what it is at
Yeah.
all. And that's why they want us all spiritually awake is to eliminate all of that, so we actually come here and do what we were meant to do. But yeah, you were talking about though, like you mentioned like lights and all of those things, numbers.
Oh, yeah.
There's all sorts of ways.
Yes, yes. Numbers. Spirit. I mean, well, universal conscious itself is a conscious being. And if we know anything about vibration, everything is numbers and vibration. So
Right.
of course, it talks in numbers. So that's not surprising. So when we're picking up on certain numbers, repetitive numbers and stuff like that, I love them. Like even clients that come to me, they're asking me about certain numbers, and I send them to my go-to site that gives me certain numbers or whatever. When we take those numbers, we're supposed to look at those numbers as giving us messages of where we're supposed to be in alignment. So some numbers might mean well, you're on the right path, you're in alignment. Some might mean you need to step back, look at the situation, and then move on from there. So it's all about being consciously aware. We have to be aware of everything. That's why moving out of that stuck frequency is so important, because when you're in that stuck frequency, you can't expand yourself and you're not aware of the universe talking to you, to your twin talking to you. You're not aware of any of that. So it's very important. don't belittle anyone's grief because I know how
Oh,
it.
it's awful. Yeah.
I know how it feels completely. I saw the accident that caused my twins' death. So I was in the room. So I had PTSD after that. So I completely understand how you feel. And it hurts me when I see twins in our Facebook group and the ones that have lost their twins that are like, well, I can never move on. I'm stuck. Their mind is just closed off to that. But I'm here to let you know that it is a different way. I'm here to let you know that we signed this agreement or whatever, and we're here. We're here. That's what the group is about, to help each other along this path. You don't have
Right.
to be stuck. So I'm here to let you know it's an outlet outside of that. The grief does not have to take over you. You're meant to transmute that, and when you transmute that, you will see how powerful you are and the light you're meant to bring into this world. You're meant to birth into this world with the help of your twin.
Right. I think a lot of what we're saying too is trust your intuition. That you talked about sub frequencies,
Mhm.
things that resonate with you and don't resonate with you. So resonant frequencies and non-resonant frequencies. So whenever like numbers, there are
Mhm.
so many multiple like if you get into that, if you believe that and you Google, then you'll go and like, well, which one of these do I pick? Because there's so many. Which
Yeah,
one resonates with you?
yeah,
Trust your intuition, because there's non-resonant and then there's resonant frequencies. The ones that you look at it and you're like, nothing about that.
yeah.
I don't feel that in any way. Yeah, when you don't feel, when nothing about that feels right, that's a non-resonant frequency. And so that's your intuition telling you not that one. And
Mhm.
then you go down a little further and then all of a sudden there's, and it's different for everyone. For me, I have an internal yes and no and wait. And most of us do. So maybe we can talk about that. Maybe that will help them communicate too. Yeah,
Is that so? And that still goes back to energy management. That still goes back through, because let me make you understand what grief is. Grief is a lower vibrational frequency, and
yes,
information and knowledge that you're trying to get to is up here in this frequency. So let me give you a visualization of it. So you can't expect to gain the insight and knowledge in this frequency if you're vibrating at this frequency.
absolutely.
So it's all about going through the energies, not trying to spiritual bypass anything. Going through those energies, working through those emotions and those feelings. And as you do that, you will study spiral, go up the spiral of frequency.
Spiraling up,
Spiral,
absolutely. Spiraling upward, yeah, progressing upward, doing the spiral healing, doing the spiral work, doing the spiral progression. I prefer progression, but
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
And so when you do that work and you're able to get those energies, you're able to connect with those energies, then that's when you're able to get the signs, and you're able to communicate with your twin and everything else. But with that being said, how does that feel within your body? Because that's the thing. It's like, okay, y'all talking about this, but how do I apply this? How do I technically apply
Yeah,
it?
how do I know?
How,
How do I
how do I know?
know?
How do
Yes.
I know?
How do I
So
know? Yeah.
yeah, no, I know. First of all, the first thing I will say, stop second guessing yourself.
Yes.
That was the first thing I had to learn about even doing mediumship work. Because when I first got into readings, I did a lot of pro bono free readings. That's how I got on this journey. All my readings used to be free. Because I learned. And so I strengthened my gifts. But with that being said, it was, I had to learn how to be able to sense energy, because I had my denser lower vibrational energy that was there. Then I had to be able to pick up on the energy of spirit, which is a high vibrational energy.
Hmm.
Had to learn my own body or learn myself. I had to stop questioning things. So when I would sometimes have reading spirit to give me information, I would question, the reading would be completely wrong because I'm questioning, and my filters are getting put in. Well, no, this sounds crazy to say this to some person.
I know, but you have to say it anyway. And then the floodgates open and the information comes. But
Yeah,
if you're second guessing it, you block
you block,
yourself. You block the energy. That's a resistance, and you're blocking energy.
blocking
And
energy.
and we're even using, think about the terms we use.
Mhm.
That's resistance. Well, whenever you're talking to an electrician, they'll talk about, well, the resistance was, I mean, it's all energy, so it all applies. So
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, you have to be open to it. You have to trust,
Hmm.
and just know, like, you can ask, you can literally set this up for yourself. Is just ask, okay, show me my yes, and just do the breath first, get yourself, calm, get the parasympathetic nervous system calmed down, especially if you're one of us with fight, flight, and freeze, you got to dial that number down because you don't want to try to do this, that, although it will get, once you know what it is, then you can use it anytime. But, and start asking, tune in and say, show me what my yes is. And I mean, I say that, and boy, it's there. And show me what my no is. Well, boy, it's there. Show me wait or unsure or maybe. Yeah. And then, and I feel it immediately. But the other thing is too, we can be in our mind dimension, or what most people call ego. I call it the dimension of the mind, because then it doesn't sound like we're saying you're full of yourself. Yeah, because that's how people, and so I don't want to be condescending. So now, but the dimension of the mind will try to get in on that too. So sometimes if you're like, wait a second, what? And so I will even ask, I'll say, okay, show me when spirit is telling me, or source is telling me, or the universe is giving me a yes. And then I get, and I'm like, okay, show me when my ego's doing it. Okay. The one where the ego's doing it is actually when spirit is telling me wait, or maybe, or unsure, so that shows you right there that the mind, and so when they're all in agreement, you're like, hot damn. Everybody's in agreement, but that's not really often. But I'll just be getting yeses, nos like crazy, and I'm like, hold on a second, none of this feels right. It's not resonating with me. And I'll say, stop a second. It was all that ego yeses. Yes. I'm like, all right, let's get now to out of my head, and let's get to what my spiritual guidance here, my energetic guidance is. And then it's like, it's about time. We didn't think you were ever going to wake up to that, But they also don't say, hey, you're getting it wrong either. We have to ask, and that's perfectly fine to do. It is ask.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very perfectly fine to do. It's very important to do. Yeah, but it's very important for you to be able to know yourself and know your subtle frequencies, know your energies. That's why meditation is important first, not second guessing yourself, trusting yourself. Society has taught us for so long not to trust ourselves. Give your power away to somewhere else.
Give your power away. Your energy doesn't know, somebody else's energy does. Wrong.
Yeah. So the thing is to trust thyself first, have sovereignty over thyself first. Start to meditate and start to learn in different frequencies, because a lot of times we've been stuck in one stagnant frequency. When we get in other frequencies, they feel uncomfortable and we're afraid of those frequencies.
Right.
Start to meditate, feel the different vibrational frequencies within yourself. That's why when anybody goes to my program, you have to get used to meditation, because you're learning how to sit with thyself and learn thyself. And then when you're doing that, then you, like you said, it's a subtle yes and no's. Ask yourself. Don't be afraid to talk to yourself and ask yourself. You're with this person every day, morning, noon, and night. If you can't talk to yourself, then who can you talk to?
Girl, I tell you, anybody who knows I live alone probably thinks I'm definitely schizophrenic and a crazy person, because I am talking all the time. But it's between all the channeling I get, between confirming things myself and the things that I'm working on, and so I'm always confirming and checking back. I mean, it's never quiet here.
Yeah. I know. It's never quiet.
It's never quiet. It's never, well, that's the other thing too, though. If we do feel like we are being overwhelmed with things, that is sovereignty over self too, because the universe does expect us to take sovereignty, even where they're concerned, which, girl, you were intrinsic in me learning, because I was like a sponge, which I am anyway. And so I was like a sponge. I was like wide open to, okay, but I'm getting this and I'm getting that. And we can only deal with so much in reality. I had my fight, flight, and freeze turned on for the spiritual world too. I mean, let's just face it. I did, it was like, here in this world, I was like, give me. And I had to learn to dial that back. Well, then the more my gifts opened up, the more I was like, well, if they're telling me, then I need to do that. And it's like, and then finally it was like, I was exhausted. It was literally, no, tell the angel squad, no, I don't want to know this right now. And that's perfectly okay to do. It's energy. They don't get offended.
I had my journey. I had a shaman when I first, my spiritual mother. I had a shaman to tell me before I even knew I was him. And she was letting me know, she was like, well, your guys are there. Have you started communicating with them? I'm like, no, but I am kind of, I think, going through dimensions or something. She was like, yeah, you do travel dimensions. But she was like, you have to be able to put a shield up. You have to be able to tell them, like, no. Because when I first got into this, I had a sea of spirits just coming my way. And I was just like, what in the heck?
I know.
So I had
Yeah.
to sovereignty over myself and say, look, I'm closed this out. That's why when I'm out in public, I'm not just an open channel, because I'm not going to get bombarded with all these different energies. I'm like, I have sovereignty over thyself. If I want to channel in some energy, I can, but no, I have, my energy is guarded, So
Right.
that's a part of energy management, because we have our energy always extending out and not being able to manage it. We're going to pick up on different frequencies, different things, and we have to make sure we're not incorporating those inside ourselves. So, it's very important to do energy management and to be able to set boundaries, but even with the spirit world. So,
Even with the
yeah,
spirit world,
spirit
right?
world.
Even with that, and
Yeah,
and that's one of the lessons that they're constantly dealing with me about too. So if you're going through grief and you're feeling like, you know, you set your relationship even with your guides. You set all of those. So when you need the time alone to reflect, to rest, and all of those things, take that time. That is part of what we're here to learn to do too. Is it's about, we've had to learn to in the natural to do self-care. Well, it took me a bit, but it's taken me a long time, really. But they're like, you've got to do the same self-care here too. You've got to take sovereignty over self here too. You don't let us bombard you all the time when it's too much or when we're confusing you or whatever. And actually, the angel squad, of course, they were very loving and all of that, but that was kind of their job, is to show me. Because then when I also channeled the Chiron Collective, which is Metatron's collective, and so when they came here, it was like, okay, we are not going to be on 24/7 like the Angel Squad has been. And I said, darn tootin', you're not. Darn tootin', you're not, because I can't do that. And they're like, but it's time you took control over that. And so, yeah. And then when you start channeling galactics, and so this all leads you into awakening to so much. And so I think the ones whose twins have transitioned, they're going to awaken to all of these things. And so as you start channeling beyond our universe, and you're like, at first it's really exciting, and especially if you've lost someone, it's a distraction. I mean, even something like this can be a distraction. But you have to do it in a self-care way. You have to do it with balance.
I want to say something about that, because I'm glad you brought that up. Very much so. When I first started this journey, one of my abilities, my clairvoyant ability, was very, very predominant. And so I would see my twin all the time and stuff like that. But I got so caught up in that, and I wasn't doing the work. Like, I had got to that point of doing the work, but I got caught up in communicating. I just always wanted to communicate with him. Well,
Yeah.
he stopped showing himself to me. Like, the clairvoyant part of it got shut down. So that's when my clairaudient ability started to kick on. So like, okay, Spirit's like, you got to be able to hear us too. So now that I've transcended and worked with that, now my clairvoyant abilities are coming back. So therefore, yeah, you can't get sucked, because of course we get happy and it's like, oh yeah, I'm communicating with my twin. It's nothing more exciting. But you got work to do. That's a part of it, but you got work to do.
Right. Yeah. That's a tool you're supposed to use. It's not an open frequency all the time to change the fact that they're not with you or they've transitioned or whatever. Absolutely. And that goes for the ones who aren't in union either, because we do have this telepathic link, which maybe only one of you is aware of. The other, you may be communicating with their higher dimensional aspects, and so their 3D version may not be aware, or it may be aware. But having that link, especially if you're not in union, just like if they've transitioned, it's like, oh my gosh, at least we're connected this way. And you can get wrapped up in that, and you can't let that happen either. But if you're an open sponge, and you're getting all this stuff, and talk about confusing them, because like you reach out and you try to talk about something that you're just so sure they know, and they have no clue what you're talking about, because they're not accessing that. And so you come across as, well, a little wacky. But we're not, it's like, but how do you say, okay, your higher self said this, how do you say that? Guess what your higher self said to me? They'll be like, No, I didn't. Yeah, yeah, you did.
I know. I know.
And you have to learn to separate
Yeah.
those, and because if the 3D is not caught up with the 5D, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you really will, because it'll be like, why is this not congruent? You know, it's incongruency then, because you're expecting things to be one way and they're not. And so it's the same way when we're talking, whether it's with those who've already transitioned or whether they're here. Using our gifts, and this awakens us to our gifts. Twin flame, it awakens your gifts. So learning to do all of this, regardless of whether they've transitioned or not, that is a big part of all of our relationships, is to trigger us to become more expansive, to expand. And trigger may be the wrong word. I know it's used a lot, but it's actually to get our attention,
Yeah.
to make us aware. Yeah, you need to be moving down your timeline. You need to be progressing, and you're stuck. Your energy is stuck. And so that's the other thing too, is when we have chaos going on in our lives, when there's lots of drama, when there's lots of pain, when there's lots of any of that, it's not the universe like testing us. It's not the universe putting us through trials or any of that stuff. It's the universe saying, you're stuck. Your energy is stuck. So you're attracting that chaos in by being stuck in a vibrational frequency that is a sub frequency. And so that lower frequency, that sub frequency, is, you're just going to keep attracting more and more of that. You're stuck, energetically stuck. And so it's like, I can't do anything about this. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can change what frequency you're in. So, and girl, I'm preaching to the choir here, because talk about somebody whose situation looked, I mean, on the natural, there's like, but just move. That's the thing. Even if it's not the final choice, even if it's not the best choice, even just make a choice. Just start moving the energy. And when you start moving the energy, then the universe can start helping you. But until you move energy, until you start changing that frequency, and because if you stay in that frequency, you're just going to keep attracting more of it. And it's universal law. It's not. That's the other thing too, is we tend to think that spirit can just do whatever spirit wants to do. Everything out there works under universal law, because if they move one thing, something else moves. And so but we don't know it. But that is the thing. So just move your energy.
Yeah, that's in general. To move your body, moving your body is very important.
And move your body,
I know we have just got way out, but all this is important. All this is a part of energy work, of the twin flame journey. This is because, like you said, when we go on this journey, we're going to awaken to different aspects, different levels of awareness and awakening. So we're covering a lot of topics here, actually.
Well, but it's what people need to know to deal with their grief. I mean, because this is, I'm quite sure the grief, just like meeting your twin, is going to trigger these increase in the gifts. And so, yes, and that is the other thing too. It's not all like the woo-woo stuff, you know. Moving your body, physical movement moves energy. And so get up and dance. You know, the rhythm of the music causes, you know, the vibration of the music. We're energy. And so anything that has a vibration to it, anything that has a frequency to it, everything does, but anything that's a perceivable frequency to us, you know, that's why the sound of someone's voice is so soothing, and while others are irritating as could be, it's the frequency doesn't resonate with you. It's a non-resonant frequency. And so there are certain people's voices that are everything to you. So that alone, talk to that person whose voice moves your energy, and just get the energy moving. And once you get it moving, then you can move along and progress down your timeline, whatever that timeline is. And so, and whether that timeline involves communicating with them, whether that timeline involves your contracts are you're supposed to move on and do something else, whatever that timeline is, move the energy.
Very much so. Very important.
You're going to be the lead author in the Every Life is a Story Twin Flame Journey series that we're going to do. And so I'm so appreciative of that. And I have, I'm so appreciative of that. And on the website, there's now a place where you can reach out and contact. So I'm putting that up there for people to see. But yeah, so I am so thrilled that you're doing this, Gabrielle, because yes, I needed a somebody who is totally twin flame to be the lead author for this. I'm very excited. But so your group can contact you, or they can, or people can contact me. Either way, the website there is a way that you can do it as well. And Gabrielle and I are just thrilled to do that. It's a collaborative book, and so you can become an author without writing a whole book. And of course, we'll both be there to coach, but I'm going to be coaching everyone through how to do this in a way that is energetically in alignment with you. Just like our lives are reverse engineered, well, if we reverse engineer things and know what the outcome is that we want, that's energy management. So we'll look at why you're doing it, what you're energetically in alignment with, what works for you. And if you want to become a public speaker because of this, if you want to teach classes because of this, if you any of those things, the book can become your business, and we'll make sure that you write your chapter in that way. But if all you want to do is tell your story, that's okay too. We'll help you do that in the way that is energetically in alignment with you. So it's much more than just becoming an author. It's becoming an author and getting all of this coaching on top of it. So it's an experience that I came up with, but I am thrilled about it because I know from having been in collaborative books that the energy of this experience is one that's going to be helpful to people. So I'm so glad you're doing this, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I honor what you do too, because yeah, the fact that you agreed to come to do this journey is, yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you all want to reach out to me for readings, I'm a medium intuitive tarot reader. I'm available on my website. You can DM me. Also for I'm getting the program back together for the Twin Flame group for the coaching to be able to help you all transition and go through these energies. I'm getting that program set back up now, or any of my other coaching programs. But this is what I do. I love helping people to expand their knowledge. So I'm all about soul evolution. So
absolutely, and you are wonderful at it too, girl. You have been such a blessing to me. So thank you so much. It's a joy to know you, and it's been life-saving to know you as well.
Girl, we get each other.
I know. So thank you so much. So until the next Twin Flame Tuesday, for anyone who has questions, please get them posted to Gabrielle's group or email her or send them to her in messages or whatever, because we love answering your questions. And as you can see, if we just get broad topics, then there's no telling where we'll go with it. But it's all good because it's all energy and it's all one, and it all flows together. So all right. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good one.